Today we're going to take a look at this video camera, the VIXIA R30, the step up, and the Wi-Fi model, coming up next. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here on the special media feed, and today we're taking a look at a video camera that I've been using. Well, actually, the previous version, the camera that you're seeing through right now, is the camera I'm recording on. What I usually use is a VIXIA R20, and of course I've talked about the VIXIA R20 about a year ago when I first purchased it. Now I've got the R30 in my hand and I've been playing with it for a few months. Amazing difference on between the R20 and the R30. The biggest one is the fact that it now can connect up via Wi-Fi to connect up to a computer, so it can actually download or upload to YouTube just as easily as that. And we're going to talk about that now. First of all, I want to let you know this is a review unit. They gave it to me to review. I'm going to be sending it back there. It doesn't change the thoughts I have on this camera, but I want to let you know that it's actually a pretty handy little camera. Now I've taken this, not only have I taken this outside and done some video work, I've used this in my actual production. I went out to Portland, I went out to Houston, I went out to Austin, and I went out to California, and I took this camera as well as my VIXIA R20 with me, and I took a lot of video. So a lot of the Geekazine video that you saw in the last few weeks was a mix between the R20 and the R30 to show how seamless it really is. It's a great secondary camera or primary video camera, and look at it, the size of it is just amazing. I mean, it's almost the size of my fist. So basically what this is the R30, like I said, the step up from last year's model, has built-in Wi-Fi, so you can connect up to a wireless system, so you can upload to YouTube or to Facebook or something like that easy. Now, as you turn on the camera, you'll find that it's got the same touch screen that you have, except now the touch screen is glass. The R20 had a plastic touch screen, but this is all just straight up glass. It touches a little bit better and you don't have to press down so hard, which I really like on that. It records in the AV-CHD method, or it records in MPEG-4 or MP4 file, which you normally see on most video cameras. When you switch it back and forth, it remembers one or the other. So like if I switch it from AV-CHD to MP4 and then I look at the files that I've recorded, I only see the MP4 files, not the AV-CHD files, and vice versa. There's a third option in here, and this is an option to actually create a movie or a little trailer or something like that using videos that you shoot. So it actually does some editing within the camera. Now, the video is approximately about 2.07 megapixels, while the photos that it takes is also 2.07 megapixels. It has an internal 8 gigabytes, which you can also get an internal 32 gigabytes. This one only has one SD card slot because they're expecting you, once you've created the video, to upload it to YouTube, to upload it to Facebook, and get it off your system. So they only put one card in here, or one card slot in here, which of course you can put up to 32 gigabyte card in there and have enough memory on your card to actually take a little bit of video, like maybe if you're videotaping a presenter or something like that. So that works really well. The buttons have changed a little bit on the R30. You have 3 buttons here. The one thing that I didn't like is you have the home button here along with the function button. It got confusing. Which time do I press the home button? Which time do I press the function button? But for the most part, if you needed to white balance, if you needed to focus or whatever, those functions would be right on the glass screen rather than the home button. Home button did things like switch from AV-CHD to MP4. It would also do some of the more initialize of the cards and change of the time date and stuff like that. But for the most part, the main functions happened right on the touch screen there. The other cool change that they had, because they changed this whole back end, but the big thing was this little battery right here. Now this battery can only go about 40-50 minutes, but you can actually get a bigger version of battery because it doesn't have an enclosure like the R20 did. So now I attach it to the back, I can get a bigger battery, so if I go 3-4 hours, I can have a battery that can handle 3-4 hours of recording time. or multiple batteries, and changing it out is pretty straightforward. You hit the button on the bottom and you bring it out and you put it back in. The R20 enclosure, you basically had the screw holes, so if you had it on a stand, you actually had to loosen the stand a little just to open up the door, just so you can take the battery out and replace the battery. So I like the idea that the battery is now in the back as opposed to underneath under the carriage in an enclosure. Power button and the record buttons, I think they're in a little bit different. Well, they are in a little bit different spots, and they're not in spots I really cared too much for. Like, for instance, if you held it like this, trying to get to this record button was a little bit difficult. And of course, with the R20, the power button's right here, and the record button is right here. I would have rather have seen that button stay right there, or in a place where I can actually push it. Like if I have it open, maybe a button right here, rather than right here, because that really, that pinches the thumb and puts you in a very unergonomic space. Now, these cameras are great not only for taking pictures, video of your kids and events and stuff like that, because you can hold them in many different ways. Like, for instance, I would hold the camera like this sometimes just to get a more stabilized view, as opposed to holding it like this. Now, the videos you can create, once again, depends on which version you have. If you have the AV-CHD version set up, then you can do XP, standard play, long play, extra play plus, or FX play, or MX play, which is technically 24 megabits per second, which is the highest end video that you could actually shoot out of a camera. On the MP4 side, you can either do 4 megabytes per second or 9 megabytes per second. It changes the whole scope of it, but you get the idea. You either have a high quality MP4 or a medium quality MP4, which is great. Let's talk about the zoom aspect. 51x advanced zoom. So it does use a little bit of digital zooming along with optical zooming, but it's a lot better zoom. The actual aperture on the camera is a little bit bigger than what the R20 was, so you can get a lot closer shots. For instance, this camera, I've actually got a wide angle lens on the R20 to get this amount of space. I wouldn't need to do that with this camera. It would actually be able to pick this up pretty well. Now, I can go into all the technical details like the diameter, the stereo mini, blah, 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 blah. The whole point is this. It's actually a very good step up in the camera. Here's the only problem that I've found with this camera so far. The lens before, the R20, was a 34 millimeter lens, but it had the ability to actually attach other lenses on. Like I've said, I've got a wide angle lens on the camera right now. This doesn't have any options. You do not have a threading on this lens. So what you have here is what you got, unless you figured out an alternative to put on a telephoto lens, maybe a lens hood or anything like that. So if you want to get more professional with your camera, this might not be it, simply because it doesn't attach to anything. You only get what you have here unless you do some modding to the camera. The price of it is about $400, so it's perfect for any of you that are setting up studios and want to put up a couple cameras up into the rafters pointing down at people, because it'll do that, and it'll do that perfectly. And of course, if you turn it on and you hook it up via the HDMI cable, it doesn't turn itself off. One other thing that I suggest Canon should do is change a little bit in the screens. For instance, when I plug in the USB cable to transfer the file to the PC, it gives me some options, like, do I want to have everything seen by the computer, or you just want to see the card, or you just want to see the internal memory. They put the buttons in very small buttons on the screen. I'm hoping that they'll reorganize their interface so they make the buttons larger, especially since they have a ton of real estate, so they can make larger buttons so you can press it without pressing the wrong button. I do that all the time. I've got bigger fingers, and then I hit the wrong one, and the next thing I know, I gotta unhook the camera, hook it back up, and start all over again. This is a pretty decent camera. I really enjoyed the videos. Of course, you've seen some of the comparisons between the R20 and the R30. It does have stabilization to this, so you can move around a little bit. I was shaking it like this, and it really held the camera view as best as possible. Of course, the best way to keep it stable is to put it on a tripod and not move around too much. I really wish the other thing though is that they'd make a remote control for these cameras. I'd love to be able to hit the play button, hit the record button from a distance and record the video that I need to instead of walk up and push the button. But that might be another advancement down the road. We'll see what happens. All in all, it's a good $400 camera. The R30, they have several different models using the Wi-Fi access. And that is the Canon VIXIA R30. What'd you think of it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know. Twitter me at Geekazine, Geekazine. Just think magazine. Take out the mag, put in a geek. You can email me at geekazine@gmail.com and just say, hey, I've got this camera, I love it, I hate it, or reply on YouTube, reply on a YouTube video yourself. Tell me what you like and didn't like about the R30. If you use a VIXIA camera, which version of the VIXIA camera you use, and what do you do with it? Do you create videos like I do? Do you create full feature-length movies with it? Let me know. Once again, Twitter me at Geekazine. All right, we've got more reviews coming up. This is Jeffrey Powers on the special media feed. Go over to Geekazine for all your content for reviews and for, of course, Geek Smack and iPad 365. And then, of course, Day in Tech History over at www.dayintechhistory.com. My name is Jeffrey Powers. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time. I videotape you taping me, videotaping you taping me, taping me, taping you. Taping me, taping you. Wait, what? Oh.